I'd like to welcome everyone to the weekly check-in. For those of you who don't know, this idea was hatched by Jessica Lee, who's a comedian right here. She's a therapist by day, and she came up with the idea, why don't we do the weekly check-in back in May when we were out of our minds, and we've been doing it now for like 11 months or whatever, having fun every Thursday night. So, Jess, this was your idea. So if anybody's got a problem, talk to our therapist, Jessica Lee. How you doing, Jess?
I'm good. It's been a week, but
Been a week.
I'm glad to see you, John.
I'm
Definitely.
glad to see you too. Jess can't give out medication, but she can on the show. She's the therapist for the comics and all our guests. We appreciate this, Jess. We got a great panel tonight, Jess.
I know. I'm super
got-
excited about
Yeah,
everybody.
great panel. We got artist, comedian, piano player, shovel snow. He does it all. Steve DiNuccio.
I do it all. What can you
Does
say?
it all. Then we got that our next man, very funny guy, Roman Pierce is in the house.
How you
Then
doing,
we
John?
got my man, very funny, Johnny Rotten is here tonight. And then the one and only from Boston, Chris Tabb, the highlight of his career is tonight.
Yeah, this is
And we're going to
Best
talk
gig
about coming to America because I got to see if you saw that. We'll get to that in a minute, Chris. And our next
best
guest,
gig I've had since last March. This is awesome.
our next guest, she writes for the Rhode Island Echo, our friend Tanya Signori. How you doing, Tanya?
Hi, good, thank you. Hope everyone's doing good tonight.
We're all doing good. Jessica, do you got any topic you want to go into, or you just want to wing it?
I always just want to wing it, John. I think
That's what I did my first two marriages. I just was winging it.
yes.
You kind of screwed me pretty bad. Chris, did you see Coming to America yet? That's the question. We talked about that the last time you were on. I saw it the other night. I got to know if you saw it yet.
I saw it. I saw it.
What is your take on Coming to America?
You can
No
give-
Eddie Murphy.
You can give spoilers if you were debating whether to give spoilers or not. So as you may or may not know, the original Coming to America is my my favorite film all time. So with that said, I'd like to take you to the direction of, let's say we had The Godfather or, Rocky or, just epic films. It's hard to follow those up. Godfather's probably a bad example because I think there were 18 of them, but I think they all sort of work together. So my point being is, they did the best they could with it. They did the best they could with that. That movie for me was so great. It would be hard to follow up. So a sequel wasn't necessary, but if you were going to do one, I feel like they did the best they could with it. You really needed to see the first one in order to appreciate it. I mean, there were so many callbacks in that movie that if you hadn't seen the first one, half of the movie would have went right over your head because the movie was all based on callbacks. They came up with a story, they gave it a little bite, but if it had never been made, I would have been happy with it. But I'll give it. It's passable. It's passable. I'm going to watch it again.
I was disappointed, Chris. Halfway through the movie, I almost shut it off, but I said, Eddie Murphy, I'll send you all. I got to hang in there. And then it came on, it picked up like a racehorse, and it wound up not being too bad. So I went from ready to shut it off to it was halfway decent, the second half. I thought the first half was slow, compared to the original. I thought it was slow,
Right. I mean, for a follow-up like that to come out during a time where the world is paused, they did the best they could with it. I couldn't have these, it wasn't like The Empire Strikes Back, where it like had to be, it's got to be better than the first one. The Star Wars films have to build on each other. They have to. And any film franchise, it has to build on it. But for that, I think they just gave the world what they wanted, and they did the best they could.
I don't think we'll see a part 3.
I don't think so. But if there is, I'm definitely going to be in it because I think I was the only Black person not in that movie.
You're crazy. We're gonna go to Johnny Rotten over at Warwick. You're in Warwick, Johnny. What's going on, bro?
Yeah. Not a hell of a lot.
I gotta tell you.
You've been on stage at all? Or?
Yeah, yeah. I was on about 2 weeks ago at Renegades, that Renegade show I told you about.
Yeah.
Doing another one for Feed the Neighborhood.
Feed the
And,
neighborhood. What about feeding me?
Well, I bought you a
To
sandwich
feed the
last
neighborhood,
week.
I need food. I went to my doctor today, Johnny. He said, you got to lose 50 pounds. I got what's called a fatty liver, Chris. I got to lose 50 pounds. I went to my heart doctor 2 weeks ago. He said, you exercise? And I said, I got on a treadmill 4 times a week. I had to lie to the guy. What am I going to say? I'm anti-exercise, Chris. I watch Chris get on a treadmill I can't do it. I'm anti-exercise. I tried walking a couple of blocks the other day. I was going to walk a mile, Chris. I walked 2 blocks. I had to call an Uber. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is.
I was literally just on the treadmill before I came here. And
I got nothing to say about that. I got nothing to say about treadmill. I got one in the basement. I look at it. That's it.
The only time I run is when I got cops chasing me.
Steve D'Annunzio, what's going on? He's sitting by the bar. He's drinking hot liquor over here. What's going on, Steve?
I got my lychee tea, and I've got a little brandy. I just needed to have a little shot.
The last time I had a little brandy was a bottle of blackberry brandy before school.
That's like cough medicine.
9th grade.
Yeah.
You don't like that stuff?
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm having fun watching ignorant people at the deli. The dental business it's picking up again because, a lot of offices were shut. And the artwork continues to go. And then the pub on park, I mean, we're getting a lot of people showing up, 25 minimum now a week.
25 comics on Monday nights, Chris. You want to go up next Monday, Chris? I'll put you up 26.
sounds like I'll end up getting on stage on Tuesday. I'm all set.
He's all set. Roman Pierce, what's going on with you, brother?
Not much, John. How you doing, man? I'm just hanging in there.
I'm doing all right. I'm getting itchy. I'm ready to get back on stage. I'm targeting in May.
Me too. I got a show coming up in April up in New Hampshire, so I'm excited for that. I haven't been on stage since November.
Yeah. I haven't been on. It's been a year for me. March 15th it's almost a year now.
Wow.
Today the 11th. 4 more days will be 1 year. That's the longest I've ever gone.
Wow.
Since I've been on stage. That's like nuts. Yeah,
Wow.
So where's your show in New Hampshire? Where is it?
Headliners, and I think it's Pelham.
Or for Rob Steen?
Pelham or Manchester. Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like and Roman I've worked with, of course. I feel like though, if I almost wanted to tell you this, John, that I think I'm only going to take opening and middle spots to knock the stage rust off.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's a little aggressive if you haven't been up in a while to get up and try to run through 40, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
It's tougher than it sounds.
I got you June 5th. You got to do 30 minutes, bro. 25.
You might get
30.
8. You might get my best 8.
You'll be warmed up by then, man. I need you to do 30, bro. I'll get to you in a minute. We got to go from the Rhode Island Echo, Tanya Signori. And how you doing, Tanya?
Good, doing good, thanks. I have a copy of the March issue. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Duva.
Our friend on it. I still think that was the weirdest thing, how you and I were on the phone. That was just very odd.
Yeah, I was talking to Tanya a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was, and she works for the Rhode Island Echo, and Bob Duva is the owner of the Rhode Island Echo, and I've been advertising with him on and off for 25 years, different papers he worked at. And so I said to Tanya before we hung up, I said, how's Bob Duva? Tell him I said hello, he's a great guy, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing I know, Tanya calls me the next day, Bob Duva passed away that night. We were talking about him. Greatest guy in the world. Give you his shirt off his back. And we met. I mentioned to Tanya, and then the next day I find out he passed away. It was like crazy.
Really weird. It was very weird. And he and I never really spoke on the phone because everything, like my column I write, just gets emailed over. So we never speak on the phone. I could count the number of times we speak on the phone in 1 year. And he and I were on the phone. I was driving to Twin Oaks and I called him, just a business call, quick call. And I spoke to him literally 2 weeks before he died, just randomly. So it was weird how I got that last call in. And then, obviously you and I spoke, and it was weird. It was unexpected death too.
Yeah, it was too bad.
But yeah, I do write for them. And not to make the whole conversation negative, but
How
I do.
long have you been writing for the Echo?
Since like 2018.
2018. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you have a column or a particular thing you write about?
Oh, it's a variety. Just I do the research and I write, about a mix of things. For example, actually, one thing I was going to bring up, I don't know if we take turns to talk or not. I don't want to take us off topic because I don't know if it's.
Go ahead.
It's okay. Is about birth order, like the significance of birth order: firstborn, middle child, lastborn, only children. And I also sometimes listen in on Ace Aceto's podcast with him and Scott Higgins. And they have this thing where they see, each comedian that they have on their show, they see the birth order. I mean, I'm not a comedian. I did very, very little work, with comedy. And I did one show for Perrotta, and I used to, date a comedian. And even before that, I did some, open mic.
What'd you do? One show for me? That was it?
Yeah, one show for you. And I think it was in I can't remember what year it was. Maybe 2016. I can't recall. Maybe 2015.
So you're trying to tell us you're a one-hit wonder.
I guess so. But the funny part was,
Chris.
but the funny part was though at the Comedy Connection, East Providence, back in like 2006, in my 20s, in 2006, I went there, like had my notes written out, practiced, whatever, went there, did my hair all big and did my makeup, whatever, went there. And I don't know who was running the place, but whoever the girl was, she's like, you did really well. She's like, you should come back next week. And like, she was really impressed. And I'm sitting here like, whatever. I mean, and then I never did go back. And that was like in 2006. So it took like 10 years or whatever to get back into it. But no, I've just dabbled, but I am a firstborn. And the point I was making was with the Ace Aceto podcast, Ace Aceto and Scott Higgins, they haven't had many firstborn comics. I'm like, oh, maybe that's why I'm not, a comic, because I wasn't, the last born, or I wasn't the middle child. It's interesting with the birth. I find that fascinating.
I'm the only one. After me, my mother and father looked at each other and they said, that's it. I heard from my cousin, one of my aunts that's left. She said all the aunts, when I was a kid, Chris, all the aunts said I was a terror. I tortured the family when I was a kid. That's the rep I had. And I turned out, I don't want to mention her, but one of my cousins, they wound up in jail. I had different cousins all screwed up. I turned out pretty good, and I was a wacky one. And all the ones that were all right, they turned out wacky. So what do you make of that, Chris?
It's a good thing you didn't come across them in your day job.
Chris,
I always wondered what happened to you.
Hey, I'm going to tell you a crazy story. I had a cousin, I don't get the details. He wound up in jail for murder, this cousin, right? He was a maximum security. 1981. I hadn't seen him in about 7 years. My first day on a job, I'm an on-the-job training, maximum security. I go in the cell block. I look at the list of the inmates. I see my cousin's name. First thing I think of, I got a cousin, and he sees me. He's going to want favors. I was nervous. My first day on the job. The guy I'm working with, the correctional officer, a little later in the day, says, go up to cell F2 and let this kid, Peter, I'll say his last name, Peter, out for a phone call, for an attorney's phone call. I went up to my cousin's cell. I said, inmate so-and-so, you got to come out and make an attorney's call. He looked up. He said, okay, officer, thank you. I let him out. He didn't even know it was me. He was so drugged up. He was drugged up in the 70s. Didn't remember me. I was his cousin. Didn't even remember me. And I was like, you know what I mean? Because I was a fighter boy. I didn't want to have, be with my cousin in jail. I'm working there and he's there. It's a crazy story, a true story.
Do you still have the uniform, John?
No, we gotta. When you retire, you turn them all in.
You would have murdered at Halloween. I mean, the official. You got the real one. Like, people would have been like, you really look like a corrections officer. Like, where did you get that hat? That's a real one.
I would have handed over my weed.
Yeah.
Crazy, Chris.
But I wanted to say to Tanya, just because I'm random like this, it's amazing. What you do is amazing, because if you look back through history, how many times columns have changed the world, because it's always a story in a column that gets exploded. And the biggest one being what was the movie they ended up making? What was it called? Twilight? the movie about the Boston Globe, did the thing about the Catholic priest.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That
I'm not
started as
positive.
a column. It was just,
Oh,
a,
yeah,
it was
no,
just
yeah,
a blip about talking about the Catholic Church or whatever. Boom,
yeah,
whole
yeah.
scandal, bro. I didn't even know that whole scandal started in Boston with the Boston Globe.
Mm.
So I think of it as, you know, I'm hoping you take your column as all it takes is one. All
Right.
it takes is for you to do that one
Mm.
little story that you don't think is anything, and
Right.
boom, all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
going to be answering questions on TMZ. So I hope
Right,
you're ready.
right.
National.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
No, you
national.
never know. Never know.
You heard it here first time. You may be national with the right
Oh.
column to go viral, right, Chris? Go viral.
Like a
Yeah,
rash.
because I'm gonna follow her on Instagram so I can say I was her friend before everything that got
Oh.
started. Like,
Oh, well, but
privilege.
I'm like John Perrotta. I'm very old school. So all I have literally is the column in the Rhode Island Echo, as he said, which if you do a Google search for the Rhode Island Echo, you can get it. Or my Facebook page, which I only have a business page because I have someone who manages it for me, is Keep Moving Ahead. So I'm extremely old school. I do everything, you know, like in person, over the phone, and so. But yeah, if you want to go to Keep Moving Ahead, that would be the page and stuff. And actually, I was gonna also mention. So John, I was right. So you're an only child, right?
Yeah, I'm an only child. After me, they shook
Me
their
too.
heads. That was it.
Yeah.
He
No,
ate
I'm
the
only
other two.
child too.
All right. Well, only because I'm only saying because I know some comics, whether it's, you know, formally, informally, whatever, you talk to people after show or you get to know people, whatever. And after I was listening to Ace Aceto with the podcast, I'm like, let me think of the comics I know, like, and think of who I would even think would be a firstborn or be like an only child. By the way, only children and firstborn have some of the same qualities. And I sat and thought, and I said, the only two that come to mind offhand that would be an only child or would be a firstborn was Billy Simus and John Perrotta. So Billy Simus, I was wrong on. He's actually a youngest. But I guess with John Perrotta, I guess I was right because I got that vibe about both of you for some reason. And I was wrong. I was wrong with Billy Simus.
I bought an only child. I was an arsonist at 5 years old, Chris. I was an arsonist. My father was in the kitchen. They had a new dining room table. This is true story. New dining room table with dishes on it with that tissue paper around them. You know, that tissue paper. Little Johnny, for some reason, used to like to watch tissue paper burn. So I figured I'd light it with my father's lighter from the cigarettes. I'd light it or match or whatever I did. I'd light the tissue. I like to watch it burn a little, then I put it right out. Unfortunately, little Johnny, about 5, 6 years old, wasn't too bright. Lights the tissue paper, goes to put it out, can't put it out. My father comes into the kitchen. The whole new dining room table is in flames. The whole table.
It's always a John's fault.
And my father's, he's going nuts. He's getting buckets, so he puts it out. He's chasing me around with the belt. That was a terrible. I'm telling you. Anybody else do that? Anybody else like the table on fire?
John?
What?
Alaska, what did you have for dessert?
I don't know. I drove everybody nuts. My mother was the den mother. I drove her insane. Did you like that room when you were a kid?
Yeah. So when I was about 5 or 6, my brothers were harassing me and they were in the basement and I was outside. They wouldn't let me come into the basement. They were all hanging out with their friends. So I picked up a brick and threw it through the basement window. And
that's crazy.
It didn't go over well with my mom. So
I had 2 other friends who were only child, John. We grew up on Ledge Street in Providence, right off Charles. And at the end of Ledge, there was now where Providence Auto Body is. It used to be alums. But before the alums, there was like a hill there. We used to, and all us only childs, we thought we'd get together. We were going to make an airplane and we're going to fly. So we know those soapbox cars you made with the wheels and everything. We thought if we get like a big wide board and nail it across, we put a ramp on a garage that met the bottom of the hill. And then it was, we were going to go over the top of the garage and fly. Now we wanted to do this. It was a bigger moment. You know, we drew straws. We fought over who was going to be the first in flight. I wasn't the winner. My friend Joey was. He goes down the hill, off the ramp, off the roof of the garage, and all we saw was dust. and a cast on the arm and a cast on the leg, a broken leg and a broken arm. And he was like the first in flight. We're all only child.
Joey sounds like me.
Crazy
It's
people.
not too bright. Joey,
Oh.
Joey, none of you guys were too bright, to be honest with you. But Joey definitely was a little off. Rotten. What about when you were a kid, Rotten? What did you, Johnny? Did you do anything?
Well, I didn't jump any ramps. We used to just jump right off the house. We didn't break nothing. We kind of tucked and rolled. You had that tuck and roll.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, well, we made it.
Chris,
We
how
tried to
about you?
jump Baker's Creek one time too
Yeah,
with mini bikes. We almost made it.
crazy.
We got to about the bank and then
Chris, you do anything wacky when you were a kid?
Well, I probably wasn't as daring as most of you. But, so the thing with me is I'm the youngest of 6 boys. So by the time I came along, everything had been done already. Trust me. There was nothing my parents hadn't seen. So I was pretty much, I was encapsulated in just a cocoon of protection. It got to the point where my brothers couldn't even touch me. So you know how like you would think like brothers fight and all that. Well, they could kill each other, but nobody was allowed to touch me.
Nobody can touch Chris.
Nobody
a
could
baby?
touch me. And so I think a lot of it was the catalyst for me jumping on stage today, because I was always performing because nobody could touch me. So if you're watching TV in a room and I come in and I got a new joke or I think I can dance or whatever, you're going to watch and you're not going to send me out of this room and I'm going to do whatever I want. So it was always look at me, look at me, look at me. And damn it, I end up in the back of a Chinese restaurant in Rhode Island doing 40 minutes for John Perrotta.
Wow.
It all started with the little dance move in the living room.
I swore I was Michael Jackson. You couldn't have told me I wasn't Michael Jackson, man. And then my parents brought me this like denim bell-bottom suit. Forget about it. I was doing the spins and everything. I almost slept in that thing.
Now,
It
you
was
guys
like
from
3
the-
notes. All you heard was dancing, dancing, dancing. Boom, boom, boom. I was done. I was a zombie.
Chris, you guys in the 70s, did you ever, they had these clogs, these shoes. They were gigantic. They had heels on them like this big. Chris,
Oh, yeah.
I bought a pair. I wore them to school. I was 5'11". I was like 6'5". I had these shoes. They call them clogs, I think. I don't know. They were gigantic heels.
Platforms.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
platform.
platforms or whatever. They were gigantic shoes.
Oh yeah.
Gigantic. And I tried them on in the store. I don't know what made me buy them. And then I went to school. And this guy's nuts.
You had a leisure suit, John, too.
Did anybody ever wear them?
I had a leisure suit.
Not a leisure
Yeah,
suit.
still
I'm talking
do.
about those shoes.
Oh, I had that too with the leisure suit. Come
You had
on.
the big,
Huggy
big
Bear.
shoes.
John was Huggy Bear.
See, now, if I had those big shoes on when I went, I wouldn't have probably been able to light the table on fire. If I had the shoes on at the time.
They still got them. The
Jessica,
guys
what
still wear them. The big.
Jessica, did you do anything when you were young? Anything wacky?
Oh yeah, I've always been a little off, but
Now she's a therapist.
That's why we love you, Jess.
oh yeah, but I have a therapist who has a therapist who has a therapist. We just go up the chain. But yeah, but when I was a kid, the first day of first grade is popping into mind because like there was this kid that was chasing me and I had this idea in my head that if I threw dirt behind me that it would make me like poof disappear like magic, and instead it hit him in the face, and I ended up standing against the wall, and that's just been like like my entire life. But then like the kid every day asked me to marry him all through first grade, like every day. So like I'm like, do I have to be mean? Like is that what happens?
So
But,
you
Dirt
throw
was his
dirt in
love
the guy's
potion.
face and he's going to ask you to marry him.
yeah,
That's crazy.
I'm like, oh god. But
Here's the best part. He's somewhere telling that story too.
yes, I know.
I don't know why she wouldn't go out with me. She
Yeah.
just got right in my face. It's on. She was the one that got away, definitely.
I was always destined to be a comedian, John. You remind me in first grade, I'll never forget. We had a teacher in first grade and Windmill Street. Her name was Mrs. Maloon. It sounds like balloon, but it's with an M, Maloon. Never forget it. This Italian kid comes in. My grandparents come from the old country. My mother and father born in America, but they spoke fluent Italian to their parents. So this kid comes in and the teacher says, he comes from Italy. His name was Nino. She says, does anybody in this classroom know how to speak Italian? I raised my hand. I says, I do. She says, ask him what his name is. So me, remembering how my grandmother talks, I went up to the kid, no word of lie. I said, what's your full name? The teacher busted out laughing, had to go tell my mother, your son raised his hand and said he knew Italian. And that's all I knew was, what's your full name?
You're crazy. This
True
show is
story.
off
Can't
the
even make it up.
rails.
Can't even make the friggin' thing up.
You're nuts, Steve. Tanya, anything wacky happened to you when you were a kid?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Or were you
Um,
calm?
yeah, I was kind of more calm, but going back to Steve for a minute, do you speak Italian or no?
The bad words, yes, I do.
All right.
I speak half, not a lot of it. I understand it. Like
Yeah.
if somebody speaks Spanish, I'll catch words.
Yeah.
Because it's like it marries the Italian language
Yeah.
faster than
Yeah.
us. But I speak
Right.
some. I can whittle my way through it, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm not fluent.
I can
Yeah.
speak Steve's Italian.
Yeah. What's the name?
Yeah. I speak a little. I do speak a little Italian. But yeah, when I was young, no, that's what I was gonna say too. Like, so just, so the way, John, you were describing yourself, like that's not really typical for an only child or a firstborn to be kind of wild like that. They're kind of more like the leader, the one that, sometimes the most successful. I don't want to word it like that because they also could be less artistic because of that. So there's a whole research on it. It's really interesting. So I would say I was kind of calm. I mean, but I was always into like, talent shows and things like that and funny movies. I always was huge into comedy movies. I got that from my dad more, where he loves that. So I even if it's like a stupid comedy movie, and so I always had an interest in entertainment in whatever form. I mean, I always took dance my whole life, but I was very, I guess kind of on the more calm side or whatever. Yeah, nothing really.
Did they have
crazy
you
that
heavily?
stands out.
Maybe they had you medicated, Tanya. Did they have you
Right.
medicated?
No, I became worse. I became worse over the years. Like then I became more like, I don't know, just crazy or whatever, or just, I want to try this. I want to get involved in that or try that new hobby or whatever. Or, I interrupted a comedy show one time, like back when, because I was looking for someone and like I had the guts to just not care. Like I never was afraid in front of an audience. So that kind of got more and more
You don't
as
want
I
to
got older.
interrupt. You don't want to interrupt Chris Stab and ruin Piers.
Wait a
Steve.
minute.
You don't want to
Wait,
interrupt
hold
these
on.
guys.
Hold on. You stood when you say you interrupted a comedy show, you were in the audience and you just stood up like looking for your person, like you were on a school bus or something?
No, it was a weird stuff. We were trying to prove if someone was someone. Ooh, is that so and so like with another girl? And I'm like, well, I'll go in there and look. Like we were at the what's it called in Twin River when it used to be the Roadhouse. So I used to be that other one. Okay,
Rising Star.
yeah.
Rising Star. Yeah.
So this is back in like 2013, and because I remember the year because I just got. I always had long hair, but I just got my hair cut short.
Okay. You're doing that thing where you're doing all the details around. I want to know why you were disturbing a comedy show. What
Did you
happened?
grab a mic?
Well, I want to tell you the story the way it went, which is basically. So I said I'll go in there. So now I don't want to pay the
Go in
$25.
where? When you say go in there, are you talking about the green room?
Yeah.
No, meaning like the show already started. So it already started. I don't know what part of the show it was. If it had to be maybe the feature or I'm not sure. So I said to the woman, I'm like, look, I gotta go in there for a minute. And the lady's like, well, $25
Did you
or
have
whatever
a
it was.
ticket? Did you have a ticket?
No.
Just
No.
grabbed the mic and went for it.
So what did you?
I'm trying to get in. Like I don't want to pay the money. I'm trying to see for someone else if someone is in there. So I'm like, I just want to go in. I'll be quick, And I'm like, look, my friend's right here. I'm not gonna just leave my friend hanging here with you, And then she finally let me in. And so I have a new haircut. I'm saying that for a reason because I go in And I immediately, the comic immediately is like, excuse me, like, are you lost? You know? And I'm like, oh God, right? And I just like turned around, like I just turned my head, and I had the short hair, so I'm like, should I just leave because no one knows my haircut yet? And I'm like, it's okay. I said, oh, no, I'm not lost. I'm good, you know. And I just made up like a little story. I'm like literally walking.
Did you find the guy with
audience.
the girl? Did you find the guy with the girl?
It really was someone that just looked like him.
Obviously.
I made
Yeah,
my way,
of course.
like I made my way through the audience, like, and he's kind of like a little busting on me. And then I leave, and I'm like, all right, I'm sorry, by the way. I'm like, sorry, everybody, you have to pardon me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But maybe next time, you know, I'm very sorry, everyone didn't talk the show. But maybe I'll come back next time and pay the $25 a day.
Tanya, we're gonna prescribe you something tonight. You're funny.
Listen, I wasn't even there, and I'm upset.
Yeah. I know. Well, he could have ignored me, the comic. Like he could have.
He couldn't have. No, he couldn't have. No, he could not have. That is against the rules. Everyone in that audience looked at him and said, say something to this woman.
Get her.
Say something. And they don't have to say it. It just comes out mentally. They just look at the comic and be like, you're going to say something to this lady, aren't you?
You can't do that stuff, Tanya. You can't go in there and interrupt.
I never thought I would meet one of you. I never thought I would meet one of you.
Now you meet Tanya.
This is you in the flip. Now I know how it happens. Now I know how that happens.
I don't even, you know, I it's not something that was a habit, but now to this day, I wonder who that comic was. Like, I don't know.
Me too.
We got to find out who the comic was.
I know.
It's definitely in his act. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It's definitely, he's doing 3 minutes on it for sure.
Never mind a comic. What about the guy who you thought was in there with the girl? Where did he wind up? Where was he?
But it begs the question. Do you guys feel that hecklers are born or made?
Oh, I don't know.
They're lonely, looking for attention.
I think they got thrown off the bus.
I don't know.
I sometimes think so. In Tanya's case, she walked in innocently enough, but you know, obviously she didn't know the protocols and just I'm looking for my friend, that lady. But I always feel like, you know, you can always tell a professional heckler, you know, the guy who's coming in, who's purposely wants to say, he's nudging his buddy, is like, I'm gonna, hey, watch this. Not, I mean, we know those guys, but it's the Tanyas of the world who just sort of, you know what I mean? Like, you brought the ticket, you came in and sat down. Like, how are you having this conversation with your table now? Where are you right now? What happens in that process?
And did they break up?
I wasn't even part of I didn't even have a ticket, nothing. I mean, I just did it.
You were part of the show. You were definitely part of the show.
But I didn't even mind. I guess I just turned my head more in effort that the guy would recognize me if it really was him. Otherwise, I probably just would have kept plugging along. Like, I don't really mind the attention. Like, even when I was young, I was only 3 years old or 4 years old on stage for a tap dance routine. And I was the only one standing on the stage, not getting off. Like, the teacher had to come over to me and say, okay, like, your routine's over. Like, the whole class got off the stage. So I've always kind of enjoyed, I guess, the spotlight. And, you know, I guess I didn't have that stage fright, you know.
Now, Jess is the therapist. Jess, do you have any diagnosis of anybody here yet?
I'm still pondering are they born or are they made? I'm still
going
through all these theories.
Born.
So, I don't know. We're gonna have to
born.
do a part 2. Yep, we're gonna have to do a part 2.
Yeah, I feel born because there's probably about 30 or 40% of them who want to do what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just not brave enough. So from their chair, they figure, you know, it's, you know, the kid in the back of the classroom, like yelling stuff, but not owning up to it. It's the same thing. But I've always wondered, in that case, Tanya, what type of event would you have walked into and said, oh my God, I shouldn't be in here, and immediately just left? Is it like, you know, like mass or a funeral? Like what sort of, because I always feel with comedy, People just like, it's, whatever these guys are doing. They don't know whatever. I'm going to go look for my,
Yeah.
I lost my contact under the table. I'm going to look for it right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's never off limits during a comedy show. It's never arguing with the waitress,
Yeah.
sending back food, anything. It's never off limits during a comedy show. Never. During a wedding, everybody's creeping around. Everybody's creeping around during the, oh my God. No, they're married. Don't do it. Don't do it. Comedy, it's whatever. Throw a brick through a window.
And comedy doesn't belong in a wedding. I learned that real quick.
The wedding is the
doesn't
comedy.
belong in a wedding.
Yeah.
Roman, what do you make of this whole episode here? What do
Well,
you-
I was wondering, like, did you get the guy in trouble when you walked in and was like, "What are you doing here with this woman?" Like, with the woman
the
looked
guy
at the
wasn't
guy.
even
like,
there.
"Who's
The guy
this?"
wasn't even
You know?
there, Roman.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, but what I'm saying is she got the wrong guy,
Mm.
right? She fingered the wrong guy, so she was like, "What do you? Oh, forget it, I got the wrong guy." And then the woman sitting there probably wondering, "Who the hell was that?" And the
Right.
guy probably got in trouble because you went in and interrupted the
Oh,
show.
maybe they got in a blowout.
Yeah,
His night's
yeah.
yeah,
ruined.
that's what I'm saying.
His
The
night
guy
is
slept on the
ruined.
couch. Yeah.
Well, I didn't say though who I was there for. I just was looking. And then when I saw a clear look, I'm like, that's not even him. I gotta go tell my friend it's not even him. So I didn't even like have to really even say it. But getting back to what Chris was saying, for me, there is no limits. I gotta be honest, I'm pretty bold. I've walked into many places, not just comedy shows. Like I'm pretty like it does. I know what you're saying because it can get very disruptive, and I don't like that either because I love comedy. I've always been a fan of comedy.
So
And when
we got
people
the bold
talk at the
Tanya,
table-
the writer from the Echo tonight. Bold.
You got the what?
Just, you just walk into something.
Oh
and you just-
God, it's bad. It's bad. Like I've had like you don't even know some of the stuff I have walked into or seen or done or popped up at or whatever. Like for me, it's like no limits. I
name
crashed away.
something.
I
Name
crashed
something
away.
else.
I
Name something else
crashed away.
crazy that you walked into, Tanya. Something else that you were bold and walked into.
I crashed a wedding. I crashed a wedding, and then I was told I could stay, and I'm like, no. I just want to say hi, congrats, whatever. I knew the
What
mother.
happened? They didn't invite you to the wedding, so you just crashed it,
Yeah.
and you just said, "I'm
Yeah, but-
going anyway."
And John, she's very consistent. She had the loudest mic earlier. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Johnny Rotten, what do you make of the festivities here tonight?
I like it. I like it loud and crazy.
You like it?
I like
It's
it
a
loud and
wacky
crazy.
show. It's a wacky show.
You might be in the wrong business, Tanya.
What'd you say?
You might be in the wrong business.
I know. I'm just very, I don't know. I guess I have no, but not that I do it in a mean way. Like I don't, it's nothing.
No, of course not. Of course
No.
not. But you
Yeah.
have an innate type of, you know, I don't know if putting the words on paper is your thing as much as just saying them.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, actually, not to go a little bit off topic, but I just started my own little podcast talk show also. So, and that's going to be a variety. I mean, I'm going to have a
I
whole
think that's
variety on
good.
that.
You know what we're gonna do, Tanya? When you're doing a podcast, me and Chris, we're gonna boldly walk in right during the podcast.
Don't interrupt it.
We're gonna start arguing. Me and Chris will start arguing during the podcast.
Well, actually, it's funny because I'm very set, and I have people that are telling me what I should and shouldn't do, giving me advice on this whole podcast thing. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm doing live shows. They're like, what if something goes wrong? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if the doorbell rings, if the phone rings. Like, I'm doing live shows. If I get an interruption, I get it. So far, I haven't had any interruptions. But yes, I'm very I need to do live work, like not edited live. It's just my own interest. But really, if any of you guys want to come on as a guest, I mean, I'm only doing some trial episodes, but I do want to get going, maybe with Patreon or with whatever. Right now, I'm just doing YouTube. And if you go to Keep Moving Ahead, my Facebook page, Keep Moving Ahead, and then scroll down to Tanya's talk show. It's one of the.
Tanya, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna come on, but before I do, I'm gonna buy a Chromebook.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm heard. So I'm gonna have a Chromebook with me, and we'll do your podcast. It's gonna be wonderful.
That was before the show. She was trying to come on, Tanya, with a Chromebook, but for some reason it was very loud, Chris. You weren't on it yet. It was very, very loud.
Yeah.
But now it's gonna go.
I'll only come on if I can be topless. I'm taking it over the top. No, because I mean, right now there's a million podcasts, right? The pandemic has birthed a million podcasts. How do you put yours ahead of all others? How do you
Right.
how do you
Well,
advance yours above all others? So when
Right.
people start talking about, hey, did you see the one where the black guy was topless? That's
Right.
only going to be yours, Tanya.
No, I agree. And actually, I'm going to be having some 18 plus shows too. So I am going to be doing some of that too.
Slow
And-
down, slow down.
Do it like a slip. Do it like a slip.
Slow down.
Kind of slip a nipple.
Well, it's not going to be really, it's not really going to be dirty, but
I
You know,
know,
I
but as
have
soon
to
as you
get
put that
some-
label on it, as soon as you put that 18 plus on it, as soon as you put that label on it, I mean,
Oh.
labels have changed the world. Look at how people raise an eyebrow now when you say you're an intern. Damn it, that Monica Lewinsky. Everything's changed now. You can't, you know.
Yeah. Right. But no, I'm just saying, I plan on going live, which I think would make me stand out. Plus, I just have an interest in live. I like the excitement of going live. I don't care if something goes wrong. And
Every
just
day I wake up, I try to go live. I hope to go live. That's what I do. I want to stay
Live
alive.
is the best way to go. Live is definitely the best way to go.
I don't want you guys propping me up on stage like Weekend with Bernie. If I'm dead and I got to do 5 minutes, it's going to be a long 5 minutes. You see Weekend with Bernie? Anybody? See that?
yeah,
Yeah, I have. Yep.
I love that.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I like
I
that.
love that.
Is that the one where they're pushing the dead guy around?
Yeah, all Weekend that he died. He was their boss or something, and he died, and they bringing him all over the place.
Now, here's the question. Was there a sequel?
Yeah.
No, was it? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think there
Two.
was.
Two.
There's two of
Might
them.
have been
There was,
two.
yeah.
Now, which one was better?
First one.
One, maybe.
First
You
one.
see what I mean?
Yeah, I
The
know.
number two is always a number two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
Chris, what about this idea? What if they did a third sequel, Coming to America, but they just did the guys from the barbershop?
Okay, great point. But, and I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but is that considered a sequel?
No, it'd be coming to the barbershop.
I think it's a spin-off. However, I know what you mean. They take the characters from that. Didn't they do that for Fast and Furious or something?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
you
so,
know,
yeah.
Yeah, so is it really a sequel? But it's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. And could they do the entire show in the barbershop?
Oh,
Does the movie
yes.
take place only in the barbershop?
That
I
would be
think they can
hilarious.
do it, and it's just cameos. Like you don't know who's
Yeah.
coming in the barbershop.
Yeah, yep.
Because
No, I was thinking, what Tanya was saying earlier. I was a young boy. Remember the Jolly Charlies, that place locally out in
Amusement
Massachusetts?
park. Yeah.
I was a young lad, and I interrupted a comedian and not knowing because I was running around. I was a little guy. Know who the comedian was? Frankie Fontaine.
From Jackie Gleason show.
Yeah.
Frankie
He
Fontaine.
used to be a singer, and he played that character, Crazy Guggenheim. What was it?
Oh yeah,
Crazy
Guggenheim. Yep.
Guggenheim. Yeah, that's going way back.
Well, I was so
Jackie Gleason
excited
in the
to-
'60s.
I was so excited to see him. I ran up to him, and my parents couldn't catch me. But then I was a young boy, so they took it well. But I mean, what a crazy guy. Thinking of your interruption, I guess us firstborns, I had to interrupt the poor guy. But being small, I can get away with it. Today, I can't. Chris Cobb would kill me.
I think me and Jessica were the only ones to have a furrowed brow when we heard Frankie Fontaine.
Do you remember him, Chris?
I don't even. What show was he? Was he on Good Time?
Jackie Gleason show in the '60s. He had a variety show, and he would do this variety show. And
I watched a lot of TV. I got introduced to Jackie Gleason.
Like this, with his mouth. He had a contorted face.
I
Yeah,
got
he didn't have a
introduced to
stroke?
Jackie Gleason on The Honeymooners.
Google Jackie Gleason, Frank Fontaine. Google that, and it'll come up.
Google doesn't go back that far. I tried it. Put stuff
Hey,
in.
I'm 63 now, Chris. This is the stuff I remember.
Yeah, I know, but the test pattern just comes up if you go back too far on Google. So, honeymooners, it'll give you. It definitely gives you the honeymooners, but
Classic.
I think I had this conversation with you, John, before. So I'm kind of an old soul that way. I love those variety shows that used to
Yeah.
come on TV. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it would just be, oh, that's Ralph Cramden.
How to do that for a customer.
I love the variety show format, and I'm miffed as to why it's not on TV today. Based on, you know, I think because of TikTok and social media, it's taken away the element of putting people on TV because everybody's a TV star now. But the Carol Burnett show and any of those variety shows where they
Dean
would
Martin had a
sing,
variety show.
it's yeah, all of it. Oh man, those were my favorite, man. Those were my favorite. And then Take Me Right Into the Night with Carson and
Oh yeah.
people on the couch. And oh man, I mean, there's no better TV than either Don Rickles or Robin Williams on the couch
Oh.
with Johnny Carson.
Oh God, yes.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it's TV that will never be recreated. Never. You talk about
He got a
improv.
start on Johnny Carson. He got a start with him.
Who did?
Don Rickles.
Oh wow. I mean and that's Johnny making stars, like just letting those guys go. Just let them go. You know, no formats and yelling cut and you can't do that. And oh, it was the best. It was the best.
Before we wrap it up, we said this.
Wrap it up. We just started.
Who's your favorite comedian, Chris? If you could meet one comedian tonight, dead or alive, will come back to life, that you could hang with for an hour, who would it be?
Wow. I mean, that's too much. Too much of an open buffet. Too much of an open buffet. There are just so many guys I would love to pick their brain, but you know, Rickles being one of them. I mean, Johnny Carson himself, who didn't fancy himself a comedian, but you know,
Hilarious.
Carson and those guys, and even Letterman, and you know, just mastering the art of. They're not really doing stand-up, but they're television institutions. You know what I mean? Tom Bergeron, who quite possibly has hosted the most television shows of anybody on TV. I think Tom Bergeron had 2 TV shows going at once. I mean, he must have lost track of the checks because it was America's Funniest Videos, and he was Dancing with the Stars, wasn't he?
I lost track. He was in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So guys like that, just you know, breaking in that way.
I remember Tom Bergeron when he hosted a local show in Boston on TV.
Yeah.
That's how far back I could remember him.
I would love to have met Robin Williams.
Robin
I
Williams.
just thought he was the most. He used the whole stage, not just one piece, the whole stage. And when I do my act, that's why I like to move around. I just like to use the whole stage.
That was a shame what happened to him. Johnny Rotten, who's your pick tonight? You'd be
I'd
one
like
comedian.
I mean, I got a couple of them, like Richard Pryor or Bill Hicks, Sam Kinison, any of them guys.
Yeah, Sam Kinison would be cool to hang around for an hour if we could get him back.
Yeah,
there.
you probably have a heart attack though after about 45 minutes with him.
He was wild. Roman, who do you like? Who's your favorite? Somebody you want to hang with for?
Oh man, I grew up watching Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. Those were the two that I grew up with. Man, I still have my Eddie Murphy comedian tape. It's the old cassette tapes that he came out with. I think it was like '83, around that time, and I used to listen to it every single day from the time I was like 12. And still have it. It doesn't work as well as it did back then, but man, I remember watching Richard Pryor, and my oldest brother loved Richard Pryor, man. And we used to, you know, they used to sneak me out late at night, you know, and watch his shows, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, I like. I love. It's hard to pick. I like Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, Rickles, Rodney. I mean, that goes on. I mean, to pick one would be tough. But Jess, who would you pick if you could pick one?
I think I'm going with Robin Williams, but for someone who's alive, I'm going with Dave Chappelle.
And then,
yeah,
no one's mentioned Chappelle yet. He's great.
Yeah. I'm
awesome.
trying to think who else. But yeah, definitely Robin Williams. Eddie Murphy. I like Chris Rock a lot too.
Yeah.
I always like do this where I forget the that I want to name, and then after I'm like, oh, and like 10 other people, because
It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick
like,
one, you know.
yeah.
It's hard to pick one, but I always loved Rickles when I was a kid. So if I had to pick one, it might be Rickles. You know what I mean? To hang with him for. I met him once at the Warwick tent. I went up to the fence. He was walking by, and he sent me. I gave him something. He sent me an autographed picture to John, old best Don Rickles. I had it hanging up, and then I got divorced and moved so many times. I lost the picture. I think the gas man came in to read the meter, Chris, and he took the picture. I don't know who's got anybody out there that has a Don Rickles picture saying, "Hey, John, best of luck. I'm looking for it. I cleaned my garage, my basement out, and I can't find the picture from Don Rickles." That drives me nuts. It drives me nuts.
Hey, Johnny.
Tanya, what's
Johnny,
that,
I gotta love and leave you. I gotta bail out. I gotta run and get somebody.
All right, go get somebody.
All right. Take care.
Steve.
Love you all, guys.
All right, we'll see you, brother Steve.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, Tanya, if there was
Yeah.
one comic you could want to be with, who
Yeah.
would you be with?
I can't, there's like too many, so I would say,
It's okay. Just say me, Tanya. It's fine. Just say it. I mean, I don't get embarrassed easy, so you can just say it. It's fine.
no, really, there's so many. So if I had to name them off, like even some people like Jim Carrey and even Joe Pesci, like certain movies that Joe Pesci did, like Home Alone. I know that sounds childish, but I love the Home Alone movies. So Joe Pesci, Jim Carrey, Ronnie Dangerfield, Andrew Dice Clay. I do like him. And I would say locally, I have a whole list of local people, but one person, I know it sounds weird, but that I could say locally, where even just to talk to this person, I just feel entertained, or just he'll come up with a side story or say this or say that. I've heard him on podcasts. Is Mike Murray, believe it or not.
Yeah, Mike Murray's a funny guy.
I don't know what it
He's
is.
no
like,
Chris Tabb. He's no Chris Tabb, but he's a funny guy.
it's weird. Like he's just like he was saying the story about the haunted hotel he had to stay at, and he's talking about this envelope and how did that envelope get there, and he's going on and on, like just talking, like he just really cracks me up. Like I don't know, something about his personality. I'm very entertained by him. I don't know what it is.
Well, Mike's a good guy because I had surgery February 26th, a minor surgery, and Mike took me there and he picked me up, and he actually took me back to the doctor on a Monday. Murray's a good guy. If you need a ride, you know what I mean? He's a good guy. If you're getting surgery, call Mike Murray.
Yeah.
We'll send them over, Tanya. Put your address in the chat. We'll send them over.
Chris, anything else you want to cover? We got to wrap this up, Chris.
You know what? You know what's crazy? Just about Don Rickles or someone at his caliber. He wouldn't survive today.
Yeah.
He wouldn't survive today. So
Politically correct.
It truly puts him in. You know, you had to see him when you saw him, because and a lot of those guys, you know, even some people called Eddie Murphy's act into question. Yep. You know, like his early, like from Raw and Comedian and stuff like that. They called that stuff into question. So you had to see it during the time, and I think, you know, we were fortunate to be able to appreciate those guys in their arena, because now I don't know where you'd have to see it. We'd be buying it on the black market.
Yeah, if Rickles was coming up now, it'd be tough. What's that, Johnny?
I said, didn't Bill Cosby give Eddie Murphy crap about that? Who's in trouble now, Bill?
Come on, man. This is getting sent to Cosby. Don't do that.
That's all right. He's in jail. He ain't coming back.
Give some of us our break.
Is he going to get out at some point, Chris? Is he ever going to get out, or is he going to die?
He's only doing 3 years.
Oh, 3 years?
I'd like to see Cosby get out of jail and his act is completely flipped and it's the dirtiest nightclub act you've ever heard.
Yeah, it's the jail version.
I want him to go up. And I hope the Jailhouse tapes get released, because those are some great shows he's putting on in the cafeteria. I guarantee it.
Him and his pudding pop.
Crazy. Hey, we gotta wrap this up, Chris, because
Cosby, the dark tapes.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go around. Everybody's gonna get a last word. Johnny Rotten, what are you gonna say to wrap it up, brother?
Don't jump off houses.
That's what we learned tonight. Don't jump off houses, and don't lay tissue paper wrapped around dishes on a new dining room table. That's the motto of this show. We learned that tonight. Roman
Thank you,
Pierce, what are you
Jessica.
gonna say? And then don't throw bricks through cellar windows. What are you gonna
Yeah,
say?
don't throw bricks through windows, man. It's never good. Never
What
good.
are you gonna say
Windows
to
cost
wrap it up?
money.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, John, man. I always have fun coming on here, man. Looking forward to getting back on stage soon, man. And I think we all are. So
Yeah, we're
light
getting
at the end of the
close.
tunnel.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
definitely getting close. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm geared up for it. I'm starting to get geared up. It's coming. It's coming. I
Mm-hmm.
look forward to working with all you guys. Tanya from the Rhode Island Echo, what are you gonna say to wrap it up on your end?
I would say if anyone wants to have an interruption, maybe a planned interruption, or you want something creative to happen in your show or creative, don't worry, I have no fear. I could do something weird or unique or whatever. And the audience doesn't even have to know it's planned unless they already saw this podcast.
Good
I
job,
mean, this
Tanya.
video. This video.
You've been different tonight. We talked about a lot of wacky stuff. We enjoyed you. Made me
Thank
laugh.
you.
You did great.
Thank you.
Chris Tabb, headliner for Boston. I don't know I didn't know if he ever saw his career being here in a pandemic in my daughter's bedroom in 2021. But here we are. Chris, what are you gonna say to wrap it up? Your career is taking right off.
Listen, man, I feel like I've always been looking for good during the pandemic. You know, we have so much sadness, but I feel, and the one good thing I pulled out of this is I hope this pandemic just makes us all a little bit more appreciative of the small things. I mean, for comedians, I'll never again complain about two people showing up to a bar show. You know, it's just those little things. So being kind to people and just seeing people and interacting and saying hello. And if we can ever get back to hugging or shaking hands, that would be nice too. But I hope those things are just appreciated so much more. And, you know, we have less hate, more love. And I'd like to feel like this is the blip. This was our reset. This is a chance to reset it all. So the first time we are able to all get out there and be in the sunshine and so forth, let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy it.
Sounds
Right.
good, Chris. We love having you on, Chris. You guys all did a great job. And the final word goes to the girl that hatched the idea for this Zoom show, the weekly check-in, our therapist, Jessica Lee. What do you got to say to wrap it up, Jessica?
Well, I definitely had fun. It was so good to see everybody. I think that everybody really did some really big inner child work. Definitely got through that inner child work, and there's a lot more work that needs to be done for all of us for that inner child, I would say too. So, but no, it was so good to see everybody. And you said Joe Pesci earlier, and I was thinking of My Cousin Vinny, and now that's one of my favorite movies. Now I need to watch it. Oh, but also when I said that, like, I was thinking earlier about like other comedians, I can't believe I forgot Tiffany Haddish, who's like one of my favorite comics and has like an amazing story, who I love to follow. So I totally forgot about that. Yeah, so that's how my brain is gonna work, where I'm gonna like be like, ooh, yeah, and then I'm gonna think of things like after the chat, and end awkwardly. So that's that's it.
All right, Jess, I'll see you next Thursday on a weekly check-in. I'll have all you guys now starting in April. We're only going to do once a week on Tuesday nights. We're going to transition back to May, hopefully June, to try to get some shows going, live shows. So we'll be kind of
Consistency
down
is
the
the
Zoom
key.
shows.
Consistency is the key. Just keep it going.
We're going to do every Tuesday night, Chris. Every Tuesday night.
If you're here, the people will be here.
Yeah, every Tuesday night, it's going to be the weekly check-in with Jessica Lee, myself, and we'll have all you guys, different guests on. And that's the story. Guys, thanks for coming on. I appreciate everybody.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank
Follow me
you.
on Instagram
Yes.
at Chris Tabb Show and get a great daily word. I'm putting out daily great energy on Instagram. Tanya, I know you're old school, so follow me on AOL.
And that's the final word, man.